Gregg Braden, DNA, Sefer Yetzirah, eternal God within the body in DNA, equals 1, 14, 16, 12, or is it 1, 7, 8, 6, or is it 1, 5, 3, or excuse me, 1, 5, 6, 3? It's none of the above, but here we go. Did you see a news article where a DNA scientist, you already know that's going to end up being an incorrect statement right there, found a message embedded in all human DNA. Eternal God within the body, direct quote. Or are you going to try and deny actual scientists? I don't. I'm going to critique this and peer review it, because that's what you're asking me to do. You're asking for it. P.S. I'm sure since you know the Bible so well, you all know what Scripture says about people who don't believe He's real. And do you know about people who misquote the Bible and use it for personal gain, monetary or otherwise, or simply lie about it? Everybody wants to apply this crap to anyone who's a non-believer, but never applies their own rules when it comes to the Bible actually having a little piece of code in it, written out that says, beware of anyone who misrepresents the Bible or lies about its meaning, among other things you can look up. So, we'll get to this point. You're going to burn in hell, because I'm not doing as bad as you are. Over a 10-year period of time, this individual, who would be nameless, but his name is Gregg Braden, he will flag this video immediately, by the way. You'll hear about that in a minute. He did research. And because the base molecules in our DNA are coded as thymine, adenine, cytosine, and guanine, he ignored that. And he decided, since they're made up of the elements hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon, in a specific order of some kind, because he wants to force something, those have respective atomic masses of 1, 5, 6, and 3. They correspond with first, fifth, sixth, and third letters of the Hebrew alphabet, spelling out Yahweh in some possible way. Please understand, this is when it gets extremely fluid. Which means God eternal, and since it's within the human body, it's God eternal within the body. The chance of getting this by accident is calculated by a University of Los Angeles statistician was 1 in 200,000. Okay. Except the atomic masses are not 1, 5, 6, and 3 in any way you could possibly mix and match it, even using the standard random number generator Scrabble Pareidolia horse crud that people do when they're doing numerology. It ends up not being 1, 5, 6, and 3. It's 1, 14, 16, and 12. Or you can use the atomic numbers of 1, 7, 8, and 6. None of these match. That's the end of the video. Oh, well, it isn't, because when this is pointed out to anybody who's an apologist or to the person himself, they said, well, it's an abbreviation or another word for it, because it can be YHVH, just YH, YHVG, or any other 4 letters can be a secret code that only means something if you can divine it. So any letter combination the person wants to come up with, and then if you talk about the numbers not matching up, then he'll say something like 10 equals 1 because 10 equals 1 plus 0, ergo it equals 1. And for my next treat, I'm going to pull myself out of my hat. Yeah, I can just pull off my hat. See, that's how you pull a wabbit out of hats. Anyway, let's just get rid of the toupee factor here. Yes, I wore a hat just for that. It's the only joke I got. It's not a crew cut, it's a clear cut. Next. You can translate this into any language you want to, apparently, because you just use a different math equation each time. And he did this so often in one stage magician activity, seminar, that he ended up spelling out the word Satan. Okay, next. Let's try this the other way around. How would you encode this? Asymmetrical encoding means not encoding, meaning you have to be able to cause this. If you're going to prove that this happens, you have to prove you can induce this. You have to prove that you can take an element and make a code out of it. By the way, I can do that. But this is the methodology that's used by this person, and I'm not oversimplifying. I'm not pushing this. This is literally what he goes through. Let's include the letter Y, 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and we're going to do it as many different ways as anybody feels like. So somebody already did this. We can use neon, it's got an atomic mass of 10. We can use manganese with an atomic mass of 55, which we can say is 5 plus 5. Silicon, atomic mass 28, which we can say is 2 plus 8. Fluoride with an atomic mass of 18, so we can say 1 plus 8, because screw it, we'll just use the number 9. Or even radium with an atomic mass of 126, or excuse me, 226, 2 plus 2 plus 6. It all equals your mom. Now, why would anybody go through this strained, bizarre, non-consistent way of decoding a message and claim it decodes a message? Because they're wrong. That is literally the end of it. I mean, it was already ended before, but the fact is the person didn't understand that hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon are required for the planet or anything to exist, because when stars explode in supernova, they produce this. There's a bunch of ratios. Why not look at the ratios? If you're going to look at creation, why not look at the actual thing that does it? Oh, that's right, you'd have to admit stars create matter. You're not made of God stuff, you're made of star stuff. But okay, here we go. FYI, it spells out, I'm not going to tell you what it spells out, because here's the fun part. If you try to look up God's name with numbers, a bunch of pages won't let you see it, because real biblical scholars seem to do the same numerological gameplay, because they don't like people pinning them down with facts or consistency. Remember, the big problem in religion is writing down your beliefs, then you can't change them when you need to, because you don't want to follow them. Non-scientist Gregg Braden, an American author of New Age literature who wrote about the 2012 phenomena that didn't do anything, and became noted for his claim that Earth's magnetic polarity was about to reverse and might have effects on human DNA, because emotions can affect DNA, and so can prayer, apparently. As he bridges scientific knowledge with spiritual literature, and edits his own Wikipedia page, and was removed from the pseudoscientific category in 2015, right when a book came out. Imagine that. See also sock puppeting. As his pareidolia Scrabble Bible code scrabbler, throw a Bible in a shredder and then tape it in whatever pattern you want to, methods stand, you can translate the 4 gigabytes approximately of human DNA into anything, including WAPTEK as a hot biatch. No, really, you can. I can prove it. Because 2 plus 2 equals 5. Yes, that's a reference you should be able to get at this point. To say that that code is literally translatable into Hebrew and base this grand hypothesis on a single dubious and wrong 4-letter correlation that doesn't correlate out of a 4 gigabyte file set that is variable and not consistent, and then just say it's just the individual atoms involved and get that wrong. And then appealing to numerology, this is all barf. Noting how many times do radio waves travel around the globe in a second is also BS. It's 7.8 times is how many times in a second. This is Schumann resonance frequency. Then he went on to claim that speeding up, it's all speeding up. And then he noted the harmonic frequencies because there are other Schumann frequencies that happen at the same time. This is crap, because any guitarist will know that harmonic frequencies do not cause the bass frequency to change. They also ignored the odd and even harmonics here, and the ratios and intensities. And what about Zoidberg? This former computer systems analyst, because that's what he is, not a data recovery person, not a decoder or encoder, not a person who ever had to deal with encryption, and doesn't know what symmetrical and non-symmetrical encryption is, because this is a type of encryption or transposition of data, or a simple cipher idea, that he got wrong. Let's emphasize that he got it wrong. Makes all sorts of claims about studies done, and calls himself a scientist. He doesn't have a degree in anything like that. He uses lost books of Enoch, the Bible, Dead Sea Scrolls, or unseen papers that he has to justify his statements. Just like everybody else is a trickster. And sees God's name in our DNA, and then includes no cited sources so people can't check his work, and puts up long videos and makes you buy his book. And then when you read it, literally what I've said to you, and it's not patented or copywritten because it's also wrong, is literally what he does. He sits there and mumbo-jumbles numbers around. If he gets the wrong number, he starts doing mad mathematics to try to change it, and ends up typing out the word Satan on the freaking page. But anyway, here we go. If he was doing real science, he would post with proof, not shilling his books and saying cancer can only be manifest if we forget the true nature of who we really are. Ergo, if you're able to cure yourself, you just aren't good enough if you don't. Feeding on providing false hope and a lack of medicine. He works on rewriting the events of history to serve his purpose, and this debunks him by definition, because he literally, if he can't find proof of something, he just falsifies it very, very overtly. Now, here we go. Our DNA does not say anything other than how to build a living being, and has a bunch of extra data in it. ZIPF ranking, in the way the codons in DNA are organized, the codons are assembled in a meaningful way rather than a random one, indicating that there is a likelihood that there is a logical flow to the organization, which indicates there are rules, a sort of procedural grammar, almost like it codes for some kind of mystery rules for an assembly of a basic structure of the data as structures, regulatory sequences, proteins and cells. Drink your Ovaltine. Gregg Braden Debunked. This video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Wisdom Traditions, which may or may not be him. He flags everybody's video that points out the obvious, that he literally can't even do math, that he failed to look up atomic numbers and atomic weights, or that he goes on and on about adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine, but not in that order for some reason, and then says, oh, it's about the atoms. And again, got those wrong. So anyway, if anybody wants to sit down and actually figure out what that actually codes for, if you want to put it in that order, or just which letters it is, go right ahead. It doesn't match up close enough. And because there's no real source of it in the Bible that actually has that pattern, he just started making up crap. That's the conclusion of the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. And to the person who suggested it, you didn't bother looking up one debunk. And I'd like to point out again, if you look up the debunkings, most of the pages either redirect to his pages because he sued the hell out of them, or the videos are gone. But not the videos on YouTube normally. If you just type in his name, Debunked, you'll find it. And I'm including a search sequence, Hebrew letters for God numbers. If you want to try to do this, you'll find out that's the one thing nobody will spell out. Yahweh, what does the number sequence equal? Most pages won't do it for some reason. I wonder why.